Hello, my name is Orlene Stroud, and I'm a student at Texas Tech University in the grad school program. I want to do a shout out to my students, former students first at Roosevelt and at Centennial. Yes, this is the kind of stuff you have to do when you're in college to get better and learn more. All right, what I'm here to teach you about today is about the structures and function of the eye. Now we're going to start off with the part that you see first when you look at someone's eye. The first thing you see is the white part. The white part is called the sclera, and it comes all the way around your eye. And the sclera is a white, tough, fibrous cells that form an outer protective layer of the eye. The function is to maintain the shape of the eye as well as to protect the eyeball. Now, right on the top of that, you have the conjunctiva, and it also goes. It's all around the white part, but it's a clear tissue layer. And you kind of have to get close to your eye to see it, and it's the part where you get pink eye, and where the infection happens. And it's also the part that keeps your contact from going under. When your contact gets loose and you think it's going to float away someplace else, it can't. It stops it. The conjunctiva stops it right there. So, then you have the cornea. The cornea is right here. And the cornea is a clear, tough covering over the iris and the pupil. It's actually part of the white part. The white part goes along, and then right here it becomes clear. Its first function is to protect the eye, but the other function it has, it is the first step in refraction for the eye, and it does the majority of the refracting. So when the light comes in, it's the first thing that the light hits. Now, right behind that, you have the irises, and the irises are the colored part of your eye. They're the part that can be brown, green, hazel, blue. And right in between there is a black part. Well, that black part is a hole, and that's called your pupil. And what it does is it lets light into the inner eye. So it comes here and goes through here. And the iris adjusts how much light gets through. And what it does is it can get smaller or larger. It can constrict or dilate. Your pupil is round in humans. In animals, it's not always round. Next comes the lens. Here's the lens. And the lens is a resilient, flexible, transparent structure in the eye that focuses light. It is the secondary refraction after the cornea. So the cornea refracts, passes through this hole, and then the lens refracts again. The light's coming through. Okay. Now, right here is this black part right here. It's called the choroid, and it goes all the way around the eye also. And the choroid is the layer after the sclera. It contains the blood vessels, and it supports the retina. See, here's the retina on top of it. And it is darkly pigmented, so it really is a dark part all around your eye. Now we have the suspensory ligaments. Here they are right here. Suspensory ligament here and here. And what these ligaments do is they're long, thin fibers which connect to the crystalline lenses, this lens here, and goes to the ciliary muscles and body right here. And what the body does is it attaches to the lens through them, so they're attached. And the ciliary body is made up of muscles whose function is to automatically contract or relax the shape of the lens. So what it does is it makes the lens contract, and it gets smaller and thicker, and that's when you look at what it does when you see things that are close up. Then it relaxes and it gets like this, and that's the way you see things that are far away. And it's these ligaments that connect to here that make it where these muscles in the ciliary body can pull it. The ciliary body also produces the aqueous humor for the anterior chamber. So the aqueous humor is a fluid that flows all through here, and it's And what it does is it's a thin watery fluid located in the anterior chamber between the iris, here's the iris, and the pupil, and the cornea, and the lens. And it nourishes the cornea and gives and the lens and gives the cornea its shape. It's what fills it out. This part of the, oh, I almost forgot to tell you about the canal of Schlemm. The canal of Schlemm is part of the trabecular mesh network. It's right here. And what it does is when the fluid is constantly being made by the ciliary bodies, well, the fluid needs a place to go, so it goes out the canal of Schlemm. But if the canal of Schlemm is blocked, then you could get glaucoma because the fluid would just build up and build up and build up and cause pressure to build up and can damage your eye, the retina specifically. So what we have here is we have the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. The anterior chamber is everything on this side. The posterior chamber is everything on this side. So now you've heard about the anterior chamber, and we're going to hear about the posterior chamber. But first we have the oriscerat. It's right here, and it's where the retina comes forward and connects. See, this is the retina, this part with the dots. It's where the rods and cones are. And the oriscerat is what connects it to this part, to the vascular tunic and the ciliary body. It has a serrated edge. Serrated means it's rough, it's not smooth, and that's why it's oriscerata. Oriscerata, not oriscerat, oriscerata. And so that's why it has that name. Now we have this big space here, and it's called the vitreous humor. And it is filled with a thick, clear gel also, just like this part was. And it allows light to pass through easily, and it gives the eye its shape. Now this fluid in here is not regenerated or replaced in your lifetime. What you have there is what you have. And then this is the retina. So the light's coming through when it hits the retina. Now what you have here is the macula and the fovea centralis. This is where, the fovea centralis is where you have specified for detailed vision. It's almost exclusively made of cones, photoreceptor cells. Now what these cells do is they provide high visual acuity and detect color, like red, blue, and green. Those are the colors it detects. There are a few rods. Rods are what detect the light, but they're in other parts. And but there's just a few of them in this part of your eye. If you are colorblind, then your cones don't work correctly. The most common kind of color blindness is not being able to identify greens or reds. Now over here we have the optic disc, and it's also known as your blind spot. It's where the retina and the optic nerve connect, and it's where it leaves right here. And there's a blind spot right there, and there's no light sensitivity cells, and that's why it's called a blind spot. Now the ganglion cells that are transmitter neuron signals to the brain via the optic nerve through here. So the messages get taken up on the retina, mostly there, and then they come through here through the optic nerve, and it's a bundle of nerve fibers that carry action potential information back to the occipital lobe to the brain. Goes straight to the brain. So let's review quickly. What we have is we have a light source which emanates photons, and they're coming in, and they bounce around until they reach your eye. When they reach the eye, the photoneurons go to the cornea. The cornea begins to refract the light, comes through the pupil, and then it comes to the lens. The iris decides how much is coming through, light's coming through. It goes to the lens, goes through the clear lens, goes through the vitreous humor, goes here to the fovea centralis on the retina, and then the rods and cones synapse with bipolar cells, and the optic nerve send messages to the occipital lobe of the brain for interpretation. This is where images are formed in the brain, and then you have sight. I need to tell you about two eye disorders. One is the optic nerve hyplasia. It's a congenital abnormality. It refers to the it refers to the underdevelopment of the optic nerve during pregnancy. So this nerve isn't totally developed. And it can be, it's not hereditary, and it's not progressive, and it cannot be cured. It can be caused by mothers who have diabetes. It can be associated with maternal alcohol abuse, maternal use of anti-epileptic drugs, and young maternal age. It may cause a small optic disc, and that's this part here, it could be small, and sometimes surrounded by a double ring, a sclera halo, and often a pigmented epithelium halo. Vision may not be reduced, and it may be reduced. It's not always the same. The second one is congenital cystic eye disease, CCE, and it's a cystic eyeball. It's extremely rare, and what it is around your eye are bones, and inside is your eyeball. And the eyeball doesn't form during pregnancy. Instead, what forms is the benign fluid tissue. Its incidence is unknown. We don't know what causes it, and it happens in a few cases. There's a lot of research going on to find out more information about it. And that's all I have to say today. I hope you know a little more about the eye, and if there's something else you want to know, keep looking. There's plenty of videos out there. Thanks.